What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 4, and we start today's episode off with a trip to Wales here to face Swansea and Gary Monk's men in the Barclays Premier League, of course, coming on the back of that defeat away against Southampton. So I wasn't really fancying our chances in this game, but despite that loss, I still did keep faith with the original first 11 I played in the first and second game, so no changes just yet. I feel as though this squad, it may take time before we really get to grips with the way it plays, get to grips with the formation, the tactics I want to use with this squad, but eventually it's going to come good. Of course, in the 4-1 game in our opening game against Sunderland showed that it's got a lot of quality in there. It's probably just going to take a bit of time before we get used to the way the team plays, and we can start wielding in better results. But still, we do take on Swansea, and of course, they've got some very, very good players, Swansea. They've spent pretty well in the summer as well, with some good signings, including Gylfi Sigurdsson from Spurs. So they've got some decent players, and obviously Wilfried Bony up top is going to be a real handful for us. He was very good in his debut season for Swansea last season. Looks very, very decent, but I still fancied our chances of getting a point, even though we do come on the back of that away defeat to Southampton. Still fancied our chances of getting a draw in this game, and the first chance would fall in the 14th minute, unfortunately to the home side, as Nathan Dyer collects the ball, offloads to Leon Britton then collects it and plays it inside towards Montero. Montero slides it through towards his man, and I failed to get the ball away, but thankfully for us, the shot by Dyer, I think it was well saved by Ben Foster, and we just about cleared the ball away. So Swansea almost making us pay, but that was it for chances in the first half. A very, very poor first half, and in the second half, again, well, I got to be honest here, I really do believe I should have been given a free kick. Wilfried Bony opens the scoring just under 4 minutes after the restart in the second half, and it is 1-0 to Swansea. But as you'll see, I feel as though, although I kind of made a bit of a mistake as I gave the ball away, I felt as though there was a bit of an obstruction there. I couldn't remember who it was for my players. I think it was Brown Day. He looked as though he got obstructed and sort of shielded off from going on to collect the ball. It fell to Wilfried Bony, and unfortunately, well, the Ivorian's not going to miss that chance. And I was kind of frustrated because, maybe it's not a free kick, but if you would have seen, there was an advantage being played, and I can't understand how it would have been an advantage for Swansea, because we were the ones getting blocked off the ball. But maybe it wasn't a free kick. I thought it was personally, but maybe it wasn't, and Swansea take the lead. It's more my bad defending, really, and I'm trying to make excuses, but still, Swansea do take the lead through Wilfried Bony, and in the 52nd minute we almost equalised here. A brilliant delivery from Chris Brunt, once again picked out Sessegnon, I think it was, and his header was put onto the post, and it was still 1-0. So unfortunately we couldn't make it one apiece there, but you see Malumbu slide the ball forward towards Brown Day here. Another great chance, but again I failed to hit the target with the Nigerian. It goes into the side netting, and it's still 1-0. And we had a lot of chances in this game, and there was a good chance here for Swansea to make it 2-0 in the 72nd minute as Nathan Dyer goes down the right hand side. Good opportunity here as he collects the ball, plays inside towards Ki Sung Young. The South Korean finds Leon Britton in space, but he puts his shot wide of the post and out for a goal kick. So still 1-0 to Swansea, and in injury time we were still behind in this game, failing to get ourselves the equalising goal. We had a few chances, but we just didn't take them. The clock was running down. I was trying to get the ball forward as quickly as possible, and as Varela takes the ball around Dyer down his left hand side, he gets onto his preferred right foot, crosses the ball in, Brown Day flicks it back, and well, I didn't really bring him in to score goals, but Mataj Nastasic has just hit one of the contenders for goal of the season already. What a fantastic goal by Mataj Nastasic. It's a brilliant half volley as he takes a touch, brings it into the area, and just levers it with that left foot past the goalkeeper, Lucas Fabianski. The former Arsenal man's getting nowhere near that strike. What a goal by Nastasic, and he makes it one apiece here with just seconds on the clock. And so a first West Bromwich Albion goal for the new Serbian centre-back. And, again, I didn't buy him to score those goals, but he popped up in the area just when we needed him. And as you'll see, he does indeed go ahead and secure us a point, because straight from kickoff, the referee blows for full time. So the basically one of the last kicks of the game, Mataj Nastasic equalises, and we do claim a point here away in Wales. From our opening 3 games, it's 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 defeat. So very pleased to get a draw in that game. And, again, it was that sort of all-out attack philosophy I had in the last few minutes, and thankfully it came good with that last minute equaliser through Mataj Nastasic there. So it's a draw, and again, probably a fair result, really. We played relatively well. Would have been disappointed to leave there with nothing, and thankfully we did indeed get ourselves a point. And it was then time for transfer deadline day, and I've got to be honest, this was one of the longest transfer deadline days ever. I mean, this genuinely took me like an hour to get through because there was so much stuff I wanted to get through. So all of these clips have been sped up. So if you are struggling to keep up, feel free to pause the video, go back to little incidents, little clips which you may miss out on because it does go by quite quickly. But as you'll see, we went back in for Danny Ings, put in a bid of 250 grand plus Graham Dorrans for the striker because we don't need Dorrans, and I would like to get Danny Ings. Also put in a new bid for Lucas Romero. Yeah, we put a new bid in for the Argentine midfielder. I think it was it like £4 million plus Graham Dorrans or something like that? Something like that. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was something like £4 million plus Graham Dorrans. Or okay, yeah, wait for it. There it is, £4 million plus James Morrison actually, because we all know James Morrison since the day he turned pro has been wanting to move to Argentina. I just love the swap deals on this game. It's so easy to swap players out of your club. But yeah, James Morrison might be going to Argentina, but probably not. I also put in a ton of inquiries on deadline day, man. Seriously, I put in so many inquiries to different players, and as you'll see, Burnley did accept a transfer offer for Danny Ings, which we'll get to in just a moment, but James Morrison isn't going to go to Argentina after all. He's going to go to Sunderland because he'd much prefer to do that and stay in the country. Looks like he's going to Sunderland for £2.3 million as they go ahead and accept that counter offer. Reading wanted £3.3 million for Jordan Abita, which I didn't really want to pay, but again, he's another one of those young players for the future that's going to develop for us. He's only 20 years old, he's got decent potential. I'm pretty sure he's got mid to high 70s, and Abita could be a really good option for us because he can play left back, left mid, and I think central mid as well. Maybe not central mid, but definitely left back and left mid, so he could be a good signing for us. Also Bakary Sakho of Wolves as well. I'd like to sign this guy. I've always wanted Sakho in Karima, but I've never been able to get hold of him. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, loads and loads of inquiries. Also putting a bid for Jannik Vestergaard, the giant Scandinavian centre half. He's 6'6", quite slow, yes, but he could be the perfect replacement for Jonas Olsen. And also West Ham. We want to sign James Tompkins off West Ham, but I think they're going to ask for a bit too much money for what we're prepared to pay. But we'll have to wait and see what they say with that £2 million bid plus one of our youth players. And as you'll see, they weren't happy with that. Neither were Hoffenheim for Vestergaard. Loads of unacceptable offers, but James Morrison is going to go to Sunderland for £2.3 million, which I'm okay with. And also it looks as though Ings is probably going to go to Schalke instead, as they have now had a bid accepted for them. And we did have a bid accepted for Danny Ings. We put in a straight contract, but I don't think he's going to choose us after Schalke, but we'll have to wait and see. And also as well put in new bids for Jannik Vestergaard as well. Now, I know I sold Jonas Olsen, I gave him to City, and the reason being is because he's slow and, I didn't really fancy him, and I know Vestergaard is really, really slow, very slow indeed. He's like a sort of younger Per Mertesacker, but at the end of the day, I feel as though the pace issue isn't actually going to be as much of an issue as I thought, because AI teams don't tend to exploit a slower backline as much as people online do, so I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for us, and he could be a backup centre-back who could do a job when we need him. Reading wanted £2.5 million for Jordan Abita, and I don't really want to pay that personally, but again, I know this guy's got decent potential, and I'm not really convinced by Pocognoli. In the first couple of games, he hasn't really convinced me too much. Not too bad, but I prefer to get a young left back in for the future, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. We also had a transfer offer for our backup goalkeeper, Boaz Myhill, who isn't a bad backup goalkeeper at 72 overall, but West Ham wanted for £2 million, that's 100 grand more than his valuation, and Ben Foster is going to play every game this season for us, bar injury or suspension, so we may as well cash in on the guy who's taken up our wages, and we don't really need, to be honest, so there you go. But Reading just won't let go of Jordan Abita. I really would like to get hold of the guy because I think he's a very good left back, of course can play left mid as well, and again, he's one of those young players, and I know it's overspending on young talent, you don't need to tell me that, I already know, but again, it's my aspirations for this season, this transfer window, is get those young talented players in. Also, James Morrison has gone to Sunderland, which is fine, because again, he was a sort of central midfielder who was a sort of a bench / reserve player who was eating into our wages, and I don't think we're really going to use him, to be honest, as we are still looking at one or two more other players. And also we put in a bid for Ronaldo Adega, some random free agent goalkeeper I saw. He had the best stats out of all the free agent goalkeepers, so we put in a counter offer for, we put in a contract for him. He wants £5 grand a week, we give it to him, and hopefully he'll come in, because Boaz Myhill has now been sold to West Ham, which means we've only got one more other goalkeeper. He's only 61 overall in Daniels, and also Danny Ings accepts his contract, so Ings comes in for 250 grand plus Graham Dorrans. Again, didn't need Dorrans, so the fact we actually managed to shift him on and get him off the wage bill and pick up Danny Ings is pretty decent for me. And also Reading accepted a bid of £2.4 million for Jordan Abita. Again, an overspend probably, you don't need to tell me that, but again, he's one of those young players who is going to develop for the future. We also put a new bid for Lucas Romero, because of course with James Morrison and Graham Dorrans now leaving on deadline day, our CM area is still totally fine. We've got players like Craig Gardner in the reserves, you know, so it's still totally fine, but I wouldn't mind getting hold of Lucas Romero as we've got a bit more cash now, but it's probably not going to happen. And also Will Hughes, we put in a new bid for him. Derby wanted £4 million. We asked them if they're still okay with £4 million, and we'll wait and see. But as you'll see, they did accept it as well. And also Adega just doesn't want to come in and sit on our bench, which is kind of annoying, but hopefully he will this time. And also Abita declined his contract as well. So it's kind of annoying because, again, he's one of those young players who won't play too much, but he will try and get as much game time as possible for us, and that's why he wants it in his contract. Derby did indeed accept a £4 million deal for Will Hughes. So it looks as though we are going to finally sign the central midfielder who I've really been angling for since, well, for a long time. I've wanted Will Hughes, and it looks like we're going to be able to sign him. And Velez just won't let go of Lucas Romero. It's not going to happen. This is the guy I really did want, but they won't let go of the guy at all. So it's not going to happen, basically. And of course, we are going in for Will Hughes, who's cheaper, so we're probably going to go for him instead, even though he's 2 ratings lower. Also putting some more inquiries for a few more centre-backs as well, but I can't see any of these coming in. It looks as though they're going to be a bit too expensive for us, so I don't think we'll sign any of those centre-backs. But we did complete the signing of Ronaldo Adega on a free as well, and also the transfer was accepted for Vestergaard, and also Jordan Abita and Will Hughes accepted their contracts too. So Adega, Hughes and Abita all come in, so I'm very pleased with that. So a 34-year-old and then a 19 and 20-year-olds come in. So obviously I was talking about getting young players for the future, and I get a 34-year-old goalkeeper, but he's just there for cover, obviously. But I'm very happy with Will Hughes and Abita coming in. Again, probably a bit of an overspend for both of those players, but I don't really care. Also putting a contract for Jannik Vestergaard after the transfer was accepted, so we go and see whether we can sign the Scandinavian giant, and we shall see what he says. And as you will see, he did indeed accept his contract. So Vestergaard's going to come in, again, very, very slow, but £1.75 million plus Macaulay, only 22 years old. He's got room to grow, and I think he could be a very decent player for us as a backup. You know, he's going to be a type of guy who I'll throw on with 10 minutes to go if we're holding on to a 1-goal lead, put him in a back 5, and he's just going to head balls away all day long at 6'6". Also tried to loan Jesse Lingard of Manchester United, which we did, Louis van Gaal, so we can take him on loan, which is good. He's only 68 overall. He'll be on our bench / reserves, but I'm okay with that because it does mean he's there for cover. And as I said before, I like to sign as many cover players as possible. Also put a new bid for Nathan Redmond, but it's probably not going to happen. We give Norwich everything in our budget, plus one of our young players in, is it Kemar Roof? Yes, it is. But I don't think Norwich are going to let go of him because, quite frankly, they just don't need to. And he's a very talented young man. And also putting a bid for Matt Darley of Cardiff as well, but I don't think we'll be able to prize him away from the Welsh side because, again, they've got no reason to sell these young players, and therefore they'd rather keep hold of them as they've got a lot of potential. Putting a bid for Vitinho as well of CSKA Moscow, a decent attacking midfielder who could be good for the future, and he's got 5-star skills, I know that, which is going to be lovely for me, but I don't think we'll be able to sign him as there was only a couple of hours left on the clock, so I couldn't see the deal being completed. We put a bid of 750 grand plus Craig Gardner, but I can't see it coming off. Cardiff did accept a deal for Matt Starley of £1.75 million as Norwich and CSKA Moscow rejected those deals. 2.75 million, sorry, but we can't get hold of him because there's only 1 hour left on the clock, so even though he might have accepted that contract, he wouldn't come in, so that was kind of frustrating. But that did indeed end transfer deadline day, so a very long transfer deadline day. It took a long time to complete. I did speed up loads of those clips, so if there's anything you missed, feel free to go back and watch it, and you can see exactly what we did. We spent quite a bit of money on some young, unproven players. Now, usually that's quite a risky strategy, and I guess it is still a risky strategy for us to sign unproven young players for the future, but to be honest, it's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get good, young, high potential players for the future, because this career mode won't end after one season. It will continue for a long time, and hopefully they may not pay dividends in the first season, but they will in the future. So, as always, guys, a big thank you for watching the video. I'll recap transfer window in the next episode. So, as always, thanks very much for watching the video. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.